Hello everyone! We are in the midst of Taurus season, so let's talk about Taurus and we can jump right into the flowers. So our flower from the 12 Bach flowers that is often associated with Taurus is gentian. And I'll go ahead and read you the affirmation and then we'll discuss it. So, our affirmation today is: I acknowledge setbacks as new opportunities. I view each life experience as a wise teacher. I am confident of ultimate success. I am spirit directed. So, gentian is a remedy for people who really need encouragement, who might feel discouraged by life, and ultimately feel a lack of will forces to keep themselves going and to feel confident in the future. And it's often a kind of one-sided way of seeing things where you often tend towards the negative and often kind of get caught up in those worries or that pessimism, and there's an inability to see the whole picture or to see the potential good sides of things. And it's really interesting to me actually how this corresponds to the virtue for Taurus, according to Rudolf Steiner and anthroposophy, which is equanimity leads to progression, which I think is really helpful for Taurus because instead of, charging forth towards something, perhaps stubbornly or whatever that energy is. I mean, Tauruses can really, bring things to the earth, make things reality. But before heading in any particular direction, it's about finding that balanced state and that centered way of being so that progression can actually be progression for what's needed. And not, if we think of the Taurus bull being distracted or agitated or kind of pulled in maybe a false direction, which is always possible, which is actually the polarity in a way to gentian, sort of the other side of the coin of a possible reaction instead of discouragement and lack of hope. And I'll actually really quickly bring in the flower that I normally bring in at the end of the episode, which is from the 12 heart remedies of FES. And I've connected them with the 12 healers to go along with the zodiac. So I have here connected with gentian actually wild rose, which is an incredible heart remedy. I mean, it's the rose. It is the heart remedy for apathy. So we'll read that affirmation at the end, but I felt a connection between gentian and wild rose in the sort of the feeling of discouragement being kind of related in a way to apathy, like a sort of a feeling of giving up or almost wanting to put yourself outside of something, assuming something wouldn't go well, so maybe not even trying or maybe actually sort of disconnecting yourself. So I thought it would be really curious to talk about that quality in comparison to this idea of equanimity, this virtue. And finding equanimity, this balance and this peace, this stillness in a way, is very different. It's a very different quality than apathy or sort of a discouraged disconnection. So in finding equanimity, it's not about neutralizing yourself. It's not about creating an absence of something, but it's rather allowing things to be and finding the balance to it and finding a way that it doesn't swing you in different directions. It's maintaining a controlled center, but it's not about suppressing or denying or erasing things. It's not about removing your identity or removing yourself, but it's finding this centered place where actually there is a harmony, there's a peace, there's a stillness, and from there, that is where creativity and inspiration can arise. So it's actually in a way a preparation for an action. It's sort of like how if we never find quiet or stillness in our lives, then, where are we going to find our inspiration? How could we be creative? How could we connect to spirit and see where it moves us and see where we move next. So equanimity is not a lack of movement, not a lack of change. So then, interestingly enough, this leads to our card from the Mother Mary Oracle by Alana Fairchild, and that is Our Lady of Peaceful Change. And I thought, wow, this is incredible. And that helped me see actually this possibility of equanimity creating the very environment that change can come from. So I'll read to you a little bit from this card. All right, it says, "Change is coming to you now, my dear child. It is a change that has been triggered by the loving prayers held deep within your heart. This change does not have to be difficult for you. Trust in me, and I shall ensure that you are supported through this change, that you are held safely and securely in my heart as you transition from one way to another. I would like you to use your energy for more worthy purposes than unnecessary worry. Trust me a little more, and know that the changes you're encountering now or soon will are actually the blessing of my answer to your prayers." So that already shows like a positive shift and change in mindset that could really help someone who's dealing with sort of the Gentian type. And here's a little mindfulness practice to go along with it. Imagine that you are outside a sunlit room that is quiet and serene. You feel drawn to enter the room because it feels so lovely and peaceful. Become aware of the sound of gentle, relaxed breathing. You sense a mother lovingly holding a child. Both are completely peaceful, breathing easily in harmony with each other. This is a harmony that nothing can disturb. There's a chair in the room for you, and the mother smiles at you as you enter and sit in the chair. Close your eyes and sit comfortably in that chair. Let yourself be a part of that peace, sitting quietly in that room. Our Lady of Peaceful Change, Divine Mother Mary, who loves me without condition, is with me now. I accept her love, protection, and sublime grace with gratitude and trust. I open to divinely inspired change for the greatest good. So be it. There's something to that description of sitting back in this comfortable chair in the presence of the mother with her child, and this, it was really describing that equanimity in a space that does relate to me, the feeling of Taurus, which is connected to our home, our body, our sense of comfort, material comforts around us especially. And just something I wanted to throw out there is perhaps in our search for comfort, which is, a natural human drive for comfort that we actually have to fight against when we're doing the work we need to do a lot of times. Perhaps what we're actually searching for is equanimity. So even in sometimes releasing the comfortable, as we release the desire for comfort, we can actually turn ourselves towards a practice of equanimity and finding the balances in our unbalanced parts of ourselves, in our one-sidedness or in our different tendencies. We can look for that peace in that space of being able to sink into that and be ready for what's next, in place of what we might have looked for when we look for comfort. So I have a journal prompt for you, and this is connected to finding that equanimity actually in our physical being, which is very connected to Taurus and is very necessary to pay attention to. Spirituality is not just in the clouds. It's about the spirit in matter and transforming matter, and we're part of the material world. So I do think Taurus offers us a lot of gifts in this. So I think that this is a wonderful place to begin. You could also expand with this prompt out of just looking at yourself and your physical body. You could also expand to your environment, to your home. This is also, part of the Taurus energy. So take it where you feel called. But here's the prompt. What is something you can begin to do over this next moon cycle to be kinder to your body and or to take care of the environment in which you live? This could be something internal, such as not being in a state of rushing, or something external, such as coming up with a new healthy grocery or meal plan. How can your living space reflect outwardly the internal space you want to cultivate within? So we can already hear how parts of this prompt can help bring us more towards a place of equanimity. And I do think it's important to say, like, okay, we're always starting from somewhere. So if we're starting from the home that we're, starting our day in, or our body that is always with us in every moment, we're starting from here, then making that as harmonious as possible is a good example of being kind of ready for whatever it is that needs to come in, whatever change, whatever thing we move towards from the place of equanimity. And if you want to pull from a deck of cards, you have this prompt here, which says, what might my body be trying to tell me if I listen? And of course, we hold so much of that tension, this kind of suppressed or stored memories, the imbalances in ourselves. We can hold them in our body, and we can find clues to what it is that we need to balance and work on, often through our own body. So hopefully this can help you think about these things. I felt the need to keep this message simple, because I think it's important that we find the next step that we can take towards equanimity during this time of Taurus, and some simple ideas to think about can really be the ground in which so much more can grow. So that concept, that seemingly simple concept of what is the difference between disconnected apathy and equanimity, which actually has a sort of engagement in it. It's an engagement of staying balanced. If you imagined like standing on one leg, and how you have to engage your whole body actually to maintain that stillness. It has that. There's an engagement. There's a hopefulness, a positivity in it of working towards something. And it's a completely different feeling than sort of a frozen, disembodied, like stillness of, I don't know what I can do or should do, and I just don't know. So I'm going to hang back here. It's a completely different quality, even if the stillness could look the same in a way. So our affirmation for Wild Rose is, I embrace my life on earth. My commitment is the pathway for renewal. Thorns are blossoms waiting to be born. Life brings the opportunity for love. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.